A recent decision by the Delhi High Court has sent significant ripples through the landscape of Indian family law. The court has declared a clear and firm principle. It states that a spouse who is financially independent cannot claim alimony or maintenance after a separation or divorce. This judgment is a very important development. It directly challenges the long-held assumption that one spouse, traditionally the wife, is automatically entitled to financial support. The court's ruling aims to introduce fairness and equity into these proceedings. It ensures the law supports those who are genuinely in need, not those who are already self-sufficient. This decision will reshape how matrimonial financial disputes are resolved. The core message is simple yet profound. Alimony is not an absolute right. It is meant to prevent destitution and to provide a safety net for those unable to support themselves. By focusing on financial independence, the court seeks to prevent misuse of maintenance laws. The goal is to discourage opportunistic claims and prevent a spouse becoming an unfair financial burden. This reflects a modern legal perspective. It recognizes changing social dynamics where both partners may have careers and independent sources of income. The implications are far-reaching. It affects people going through divorce proceedings and those contemplating them across the country. The ruling sets a new precedent for lawyers and litigants. It shifts the burden of proof onto the person claiming maintenance. They must show tangible, verifiable need for assistance. It also clarifies protections for the paying spouse. It guards against opportunistic or unjust claims. The courts will now conduct a more rigorous examination of each party's finances. This ensures the legal system isn't used for financial gain. The judgment will likely influence how courts across India interpret alimony laws. It compels transparency and honesty about finances from the start. The court has highlighted that claimants must be open about their finances right from the start. To fully grasp the significance of the court's decision, we must first understand the key legal terms involved. Alimony maintenance refers to the financial support paid by one spouse to the other, following a separation following a divorce. The primary purpose is to provide for the spouse who has a lower income or no income at all. The law recognizes one partner may have sacrificed their career or their earning potential for the family's benefit. Alimony is intended to help that spouse maintain a reasonable standard of living after the marriage has ended. It is not meant to be a punishment for the paying spouse, but a means of ensuring the receiving spouse's basic needs are met. This support can be ordered by the court in two primary forms. The first is a periodic payment, a fixed amount paid monthly. This is the most common form of maintenance. The second form is a lump sum payment, a one-time final amount. The court decides which form is appropriate based on the case. The underlying principle remains the same in both scenarios. The support is meant to provide stability until they can become self-sufficient or for the rest of their life, depending on the situation. Courts in India consider several factors before granting alimony. These factors are laid out in the Hindu Marriage Act and the Special Marriage Act. The court will look at the income and the property of both the claimant and the respondent. It will also consider the financial needs of the claimant, keeping in mind the standard of living the couple enjoyed during their marriage. Other considerations include the age and health of both parties, the duration of the marriage, and the conduct of the parties. The law aims to be equitable. It ensures the maintenance awarded is just and reasonable, without placing undue financial strain on the person who has to pay it. This new ruling from the Delhi High Court does not eliminate alimony. Instead, it refines the conditions under which it can be granted. The decision puts a spotlight on the claimant's earning capacity and their financial resources. It signals that courts will no longer assume dependency. The claimant must now actively prove their lack of financial independence. This makes the initial assessment of each spouse's financial situation more critical than ever before. The ruling essentially adds a preliminary test. Before delving into how much should be paid, the court will first determine if any alimony should be paid at all, based on the claimant's ability to support themselves. The central pillar of the Delhi High Court's ruling is the concept of financial independence. Financial independence is not merely about having a job. It is about a person's overall capacity to meet their own reasonable needs without external financial support from their estranged spouse. The court will assess if an individual has sufficient and consistent income to cover their essential living expenses: food, housing, utilities, transportation, healthcare, education for children, other expenditures that maintain a reasonable quality of life similar to the marriage. To determine financial independence, the court undertakes a detailed analysis of a person's entire financial profile. This goes far beyond just a monthly salary. Business income, freelance work, rental properties, stocks, mutual funds, bank accounts, fixed deposits, other financial instruments, real estate, vehicles, jewelry, support from parents, support from other family members. The court's objective is to get a complete and accurate picture of a person's ability to be self-reliant. Let us consider a clear example to illustrate this principle. Doctor, engineer, employed with a reputable company, earning a substantial monthly salary. This individual would likely be considered financially independent by the court. Even if their income is slightly less than their partner's, their ability to support themselves comfortably would lead the court to deny their claim for alimony. Conversely, consider a spouse who left their job many years ago to raise children and has no recent work experience or personal savings. This person would likely be considered financially dependent and would be eligible to receive maintenance from their earning spouse. The court's process involves a step-by-step evaluation. First, the claimant's spouse files an application for maintenance, stating their financial needs. Second, the court directs both parties to submit a detailed affidavit. Income, in affidavit. Assets, in affidavit. Liabilities, in affidavit. This is a sworn statement, and providing false information can have serious legal consequences. Third, the court examines the documents and evidence provided by both sides. Bank statements, tax returns, salary slips. Based on this comprehensive review, the court makes its determination. If the evidence clearly shows that the claimant is capable of supporting themselves, the court, following the new precedent, will dismiss the claim for alimony. Well, so that's basically how the court approaches the question of financial independence. In light of this Delhi High Court ruling, the role of evidence has become more critical than ever in maintenance proceedings. The court will no longer accept vague claims of financial hardship at face value. A spouse claiming maintenance must now substantiate their need with concrete and verifiable proof. The burden is on them to present a clear and convincing case that they lack the means to support themselves. This requires meticulous documentation and transparent disclosure of all financial details. The court's decision will be based not on emotional appeals, but on a dispassionate review of the facts and figures. Types of evidence courts will scrutinize are extensive. Bank account statements, income tax returns, salary slips, employment contracts, business balance sheets, profit and loss statements, company bank accounts, property deeds, vehicle registration documents, credit card statements. The court's process seeks the true financial status of both spouses. Parties sometimes try to conceal income or inflate expenses. Examples: underreporting business income, temporarily stopping work to create dependency. Courts are increasingly adept at seeing through such tactics. Judges can draw adverse inferences if documents are withheld or information is contradictory. If someone claims no income but social media shows expensive vacations, that can be circumstantial evidence. The judge must balance evidence from both sides and reach a fair conclusion. If dependency is proved, the court determines the maintenance amount. That amount is based on the paying spouse's ability to pay and the claimant's needs. If evidence is insufficient or shows the claimant can earn, the court can deny alimony outright. Honesty and transparency are therefore the best policy for both parties involved. Honesty and transparency. This landmark judgment by the Delhi High Court directly impacts how different individuals are treated under the law of maintenance. The ruling creates a clearer distinction between eligible and ineligible claimants. Primary affected group: well-educated, professionally qualified, consistent earning capacity. Example professions: chartered accountant, software developer, tenured professor, likely not granted maintenance. Court's view: qualifications and income make them self-sufficient, protected. Genuinely vulnerable and dependent spouses: homemaker for a long marriage, no formal education, no professional skills, strong candidate for alimony. Long absence from workforce and lack of earning capacity make them financially dependent, unable to work due to chronic illness, physical disability, still entitled to support. Health status is a key factor. Ruling isn't to penalize homemakers or the infirm, it's to rationalize claims. Also affects temporarily unemployed, underemployed spouses. The court will not just look at current income, but also potential to earn. For instance, spouse with a postgraduate degree is voluntarily working in a low-paying job or has chosen not to work despite being qualified. The court may be reluctant to award maintenance. The judge might conclude the person can secure a better-paying job and should try. This introduces the concept of potential earnings into the calculation. The court expects able-bodied qualified individuals to make reasonable efforts to support themselves first. This ruling sends a strong message to both spouses about responsibilities during the legal process. The claiming spouse must present a thoroughly documented case proving dependency. This requires proactive collection of evidence and realistic financial assessment. For the paying spouse, the judgment gives a solid ground to contest claims, bring evidence, qualifications, work experience, and income. Possible outcome: more negotiated settlements, clearer legal standing, and reduced litigation time and costs for everyone involved. In summary, the Delhi High Court's decision has established a clear and practical rule. Alimony is for those who are in need, not for those who are financially self-reliant. The core principle is that a spouse who is educated, qualified, and capable of earning a sufficient income cannot claim maintenance. The judgment emphasizes that the purpose of alimony is to provide a safety net, not to create a lifelong dependency. Proof of financial need is no longer a formality. It is the most critical element of any maintenance claim. This ruling aims to bring fairness and prevent the misuse of the law, ensuring support is directed only to those who genuinely require it to maintain a dignified life after divorce. For individuals who may be affected by this ruling, taking practical steps is crucial. If you are contemplating filing for maintenance, your first priority should be to gather comprehensive documentation. You need to prove your lack of income and financial independence. Collect bank statements for the last 3 to 5 years. Gather medical records. Keep a detailed record of monthly expenses. Prepare a homemaker contribution statement. Conversely, if you are the spouse from whom maintenance is being claimed, prepare diligently. Demonstrate that your spouse is, or can be, financially independent. Be transparent about your own income and assets. Hiding information will damage your credibility. Present information clearly to help the court. Looking ahead, this judgment is likely to be cited in family courts across India. It sets a new benchmark for maintenance cases. It encourages a shift towards greater personal responsibility and financial autonomy for both partners after marriage. It may also encourage more couples to opt for out-of-court settlements, negotiating fair financial arrangements based on the law. As society evolves, with more women entering the workforce and achieving financial independence, the legal framework for alimony will continue to adapt. This ruling is a significant step in that direction, reflecting a modern approach to the financial consequences of divorce. Seeking guidance from a qualified family law lawyer is the most important step for anyone navigating this complex terrain. If you found this briefing useful, consider sharing it. Stay informed, stay prepared, and always document your finances clearly. Key takeaway: financial independence negates alimony. Genuine need must be proven with evidence. Fairness and transparency guide the court's decision.